Good evening, everyone. We'll be formally starting now. I'm Tausif, Assistant Professor in Computer Applications from Amar Singh College, Srinagar, and I welcome you all to the third day of the International Virtual Faculty Development Program on Tools and Techniques in Research. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So far in this faculty development program, we have covered many research areas, including a review of literature, the art of publication in UGC and Scopus journals, research reports, and tools of language correction. In today's technical sessions, we shall be deliberating on the statement of the problem in research and tools of data collection. Before we start the proceedings of the first technical session, I take this opportunity to introduce the resource person for the session, Dr. Marcia Jain, who will be speaking on the statement of the problem in research. Dr. Jain is currently a senior lecturer at the Academy of Language Studies, University of Technology, Mara, Malaysia. She has obtained her PhD from University Sains, Malaysia in 2018 in English language studies in the area of literacy, performance, and thinking skills, and possessed her master's degree in English language and applied linguistics in 2010. She received her bachelor's degree in English language and literature studies in 2007. She has experience in teaching English as a second foreign language at academic institutions that have paved the way for her career experiences and research work. Her research interests include, but are not limited to, functional literacy skills, thinking skills, critical discourse analysis, TESL, and ELT. She is currently working in service community teaching that focuses on marginalized groups in Malaysia. I welcome you, Dr. Jain. Kindly go ahead with the lecture, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Tausif, for the introduction. And I'm very excited to share this platform with you. And before I go on further, I would like to thank, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Amar Singh College and Cape Cod Marine Trust India, as well as Dr. Regine for having me here this evening. So how are you all today?
We are all good. We are all good, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right, that's great. That's great. All right. Before I move on further, yeah, I would just want to, just for viewing pleasure, I would like to play a montage for you. All right. So this is
sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, this is my faculty actually. So just for your viewing pleasure here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
ma'am.
All right. Thank you for your responses. All right, here we go. Is it playing? It's buffering though. It played well just now. It's acting up.
Ma'am, you can just refresh the page and it'll work, I guess. It shall work, I guess. I just refresh the page once.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Welcome. That's my faculty of Academy of Language Studies. All right. For today, we will be looking at the statement of problem. All right. So I'll be sharing the screen with you. Can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
It's up, yeah. All right. All right. So speaking of statement of problem, let's just dive in. I'll be covering some of these aspects, defining what is statement of problem, and what are the problems in the statement of problems. We'll be looking at different sources of problems, and some identification of problems. How can we identify problems, right, when you embark on a research? And an important element that not to be missed would be analyzing problems in elements. So it's going to be like a step-by-step or structured manner of how we view problems. How do you construct a statement of problem? All right. But before we go on in life, yeah, we are often visited by problems, eventful problems in life. All right. We just walk into it, we fumble upon it, and it's we are visited by it, so on and so forth. But when it comes to research, it's a different ballgame altogether. Right? What do you think we do with a statement of problem? We look for problem, right? I think we are a bunch of people here who like problems and perhaps also enjoy solving problem. All right. So that would be the difference between academic research. But when it comes to problems, right, a problem per se, that is a word that I like to use would be assortment of problem, right? And the first step of research is, in any research, is to identify a problem. But it is not as easy as that, isn't it? How many of you struggle, curating or developing a statement of problem? Is it a challenging bit, or is it an easy task?
Quite challenging, ma'am.
Yeah, it's quite challenging, isn't it? Why? Because
yes, absolutely.
Sorry?
Yes, absolutely. One of the hardest things to start research with, right?
Correct. So this is one of the most challenging bit. But if you get this right, it answers a lot of problems, right? It solves a lot of problems. It answers a lot of questions to your research. All right. So identifying a good problem is very important. But before we can actually do that, we have to remember that there are various thinking capacities involved in the selection of a problem, because there is reflective thinking, there is convergent thinking, there is divergent thinking, scientific thinking. So different thinking caps that we need to put on in order to process a problem, or in order to look for a problem. All right, so I just wanted to highlight on that, because anything that is unthinking, an unthinking activity, right? Because this requires careful thoughts, careful thought processes, careful thinking. But if it's an unthinking activity, it is often governed by tradition, emotions. But with research, we can't do that, isn't it? It has got to be very structured, very scientific, and well researched. So moving on, statement of problem is defined as to pinpoint the problem or defining a problem to reach the core of the problem. Do you understand the statement? Can I move on? Any questions so far?
Ma'am, we have a different Q&A session at the end of the two technical sessions.
All right.
We'll be taking a session. Yeah.
All right, sure. However, with problems, right? Problems with statement of problem, what do we have here? We have students who are confused, right? Not just students, researchers generally are confused. Many students are confused on how to frame a research problem. The rationality would not be there sometimes. Many can't find a rationale for the investigation. Why am I doing this? What is the rationale behind it? Research agenda, your objective, all right? What is the objective of this particular research? So sometimes students can't get that off the bat because it takes time, and being thrown in a new setup will cause a lot of confusion. So poor research agenda leads to poor problem statement. So there's a lot of things going on here, yeah, if you don't get your problem statement solid. And that affects your proposal defense. You know, why what gets messed up? Proposal defense gets messed up because your problem statement has no compelling reasons. So there is a need for compelling reasons. Compelling reasons are very important when you develop, when you curate your statement of problem. Sometimes they're not persuasive enough, so there is no selling factor. There's no in the statement of problem. All right, so there needs to be the selling factor of your statement. It lacks clarity, no connection between the study and the statement of problem. All right, so these are some of the issues as well faced by students generally. Poor choice of topics. Okay, the kind of topics that you choose, it's not research worthy perhaps. All right, it's something that no one actually cares about. All right, so that is also a pointer that we all need to be mindful of, because at the end of the day, when we talk about research, it is defined as a method of studying problems whose solutions are to be derived partly or wholly from facts. And then we have principles. We also have procedures that goes along with it, right? When we study research methods and whatnot. And before I go on further on the identification of problems. So here what I'm trying to tell you is, how do you actually identify a problem? All right, now that we are, you have a study, and even right now that you have a topic, right? Try and solidify your statement of problem, all right? So that it becomes more meaningful, all right? Because a problem cannot be solved unless a researcher possesses the intellect and the insight, yeah, to isolate and understand the specific factors that pose difficulty to the problem. All right, so what gives rise to the problem? Specific factors that give rise to the difficulty of the problem. So that needs to be identified. So there are a few ways in which you can go about them. One is to accumulate facts, all right, that is related to the problem. All right, so this is very important. So this, when I'm giving you these points, right, there's a lot of thinking skills going on, like we shared, like I shared earlier, right? Divergent thinking, convergent thinking, scientific thinking, critical thinking. All right, so this thinking would kick in, all right, back and forth. Setting observations. All right, so now that you have these facts, you have to observe, are these facts relevant to my context of study in the country that I am at? All right, because it's going to be very specific, and also the population that you're going to study. Is it relevant? Can I progress with this? All right, tracing any relationship between facts that might reveal the key to difficulty. All right, are there any difficult relationship variables between the facts in this particular problem? You can proposing various explanations for the cause or the difficulty. All right, so these are backed up by research, backed up by good journals that you read. as high impact factors, good journals that support or shed light onto your research area or the problem that you're trying to find out or dig further. To ascertain through observations and analysis whether these explanations are relevant to the problem. All right, so observational skills, analysis, explanation, and also facts. All right, all these variables are very important when you are trying to identify a problem. This is just at the identification state. All right, just to say that, oh yeah, this is a problem. All right, tracing relationships between explanations that might give an insight into the problem solution, tracing relationship between facts and explanation, and you can question assumptions because you will have to come up with a hypothesis, right? Underlying the analysis of the problem. And also you have to trace or omit irrelevant facts which are not part of the problem, which does not directly contribute, that doesn't contribute to the problem. Locating irrelevant explanations which are also not related to the problem. So you can see, right, between the first 5, they're very important, very direct, and you can use this as a checklist to in the event of identifying a problem. So far, so good? All right.
Yes, ma'am, I'm all good.
All right. And besides that, let's look at some of the issues. Yeah. How do you find sources of problems in your study? All right. Sometimes your supervisor might say, or your mentor might say, this doesn't look like a problem to me. Doesn't sound like a problem. So how do you actually identify problems? One could be personal experiences. All right. It can be what you have gone through in school and you want to bring that to light, and then you want your personal experiences can also be part of the source. All right. But of course, you have to back it up with other readings as well, right? And then you can actually share this bit. Extensive study of available literature in your field. All right. So a lot of reading going on back and forth. Identify a problem from a specific field. All right, sorry about that, it's hiding somewhere. All right, so you identify a particular problem. Okay, this is a fundamental problem, a pressing problem it's been a nagging problem so far in my field. All right, and that can be addressed as well. All right, that's one of the ways in which you can source a problem. When it comes to innovations, technological changes, curricular developments for any change like COVID-19 has hit us so bad, right? And we have gone distance learning, remote learning, and whatnot. And a lot of problems have actually cropped or stemmed from this issue, right? So anytime there is a new outbreak, all right, in any form, it can cause problems. All right, so that's also a tip there. You can also consult experts, all right, experts of the field, your mentor, who are actually experts in the field, yeah. And then research reports, you can also look at research reports. You can look at journals. You can look at secondary readings, all right, all over, yeah, with Professor Google around, I think, and databases subscribed by the university or the library. That would actually come in very handy for us. All right, moving on. Okay, now that you have all these, right? You have found a problem, but now you want to judge the merit of the problem. Okay, now we roughly have some information, or you've been thinking, oh, I want to do this, but it's just a thought. It's just at a very surface level. So how do you judge the merit of a problem so that you don't get stuck as you go, as you progress further, right? You don't want to back out because it's time consuming, correct? And it was also very draining motivationally. So these are some of the questions, 10 questions you can ask. Is the problem really important? Is the problem interesting to others? Is the chosen problem a real problem? Or is it just something that is, built up, is just a makeup, a fantasy? No, we don't do that, right? Does a problem display originality and creativeness? Will I be able to take it further? Can I use my creative thinking here? Can I bring or add a touch of novelty to this problem? Am I really concerned with finding the solution? Or I'm not really passionate about it? All right, so you have to ask questions like this to yourself. All right, this is more on meta learning. Am I able to state hypothesis from the problem in a testable form? Because if it's going to be quantity, you got to test it out, right? So do I understand the relationship of this specific problem to the broader problem area? All right, because we are now looking at sub problems. Will I be able to select a sample from which I can generalize to some population? So this is also very important, yeah, so that the study is generalizable. It is representative, all right? Only then it holds water, it has some sort of weight to what you're doing. Will my proposed data gathering instruments actually give the information I want? All right, will it solve my problem? So you can see a lot of streamlining already for not just on the statement of problem, but it's already overlapping with your chapter 3 or your methods already, isn't it? So that would also set the step, yeah, further to whether you can progress or not. If you cannot answer all, sometimes you cannot answer, right? You think it's pretty a shallow problem, then drop the problem. All right, do something else. Maybe look for a more concrete problem, all right, so that you can work around it. Is the study including the application of its results? Okay, when I have this, all right, when I apply it, will the outcome be practical? All right. Because at the end, we want the study, right? You will have a section on implication. What are the implications of the study? So all that are very useful, very important. And you can see that how it actually expands, right? It's not just problem per se, but it actually expands further to the whole lot of the study, actually. All right, so here, moving on. These are the 5 W's that you can ask, all right, that help address your statement of problem. All right, the first W would be WHO, all right, who is affected? Learners, staff members, policymakers, who is affected? All right, what are the conditions and what is the impact of this study? All right, will it be impactful? What are the conditions of this particular area that I'm looking at? All right, where does it go from here? When does it occur? You know that with research, especially we are doing, when we work with all this research, right? We need it to be current, right? Even your statement of problem, your citations, the best timeline would be between 5 years or under 5 years, all right? Or else it will be a stale problem, all right? Because they want newness, they want freshness, all right? Newness in thinking. It can be an old problem, but a touch of creativity that would do the magic. All right, why does this issue occur? Why is it crucial at this point in time? All right, how is it going to be? So it all actually would point to the implication. All right, and where does this issue occur? In the classroom, outside classroom, So you have to be, you can actually use this technique to plan as well as to brainstorm. Yeah. So this is something that I actually find very useful even for my students. All right. So when we define a problem, okay. All right. Defining a, so far so good.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So far so
All good.
All right. So when we define a problem, the definition of a problem actually sets the direction of the study, correct? And when we looked at just one simple area by just looking at the template or the checklist, we can see how it actually connects one to another, all right, until the implication and the end of the study. So defining a problem is very important. The definition reveals the methodology or procedure of the study. Yeah, the definition helps researcher to control subjectivity or biases. All right, sometimes we have a certain thinking that, you know, it can be just mindset. All right, so
I request OP Sharma to kindly mute yourself. OP Sharma.
all right. So with all these questions, remember when we spoke about different thinking, it actually, what does it do? It actually plays down, it filters your subjectivity, because as researchers, we have certain characteristics that we need to have. We need to be open-minded, all right, to ideas, to a lot of things, right? Open-mindedness and being creative. These are all some characteristics researchers should hold. The definition itself makes the research work practicable. When you define a problem, the research has got to be practicable. All right. We cannot do a research that cannot be applied. All right. There's a lot of waste of
OP
resources.
Sharma, excuse me, ma'am. OP Sharma, kindly mute yourself. Mr. OP Sharma.
Sir.
Kindly mute yourself, sir. You are disturbing everybody else. Thank you.
All right, there must be an accident, no problem. All right, the definition of the problem actually suggests that specific variables that can be taken up into the investigation. All right, so when you read up on different articles and so on, you can actually come up with different variables. However, there are some guiding principles when you do that, yeah. The words used for defining a problem should have a single meaning. Sometimes it's all over, right? Because it's got to do with writing. So there's a lot of, you have to be careful here, all right? So make sure it doesn't give a different meaning, all right? So that means the intended meaning and the outcome is different. So it has to align, all right? So these are some principles that you need to be mindful of, so that you are on the same page with your evaluators later on. The statement of the problem must be brief and comprehensive. All right, comprehension is very important. It has to be concise, to the point. It cannot be ranting. The problem should have practical importance in the field. All right, so this is where your contribution would come in. Yeah, the practical importance is so crucial. It can be the theoretical bit. It can be so many other aspects that we can look at when you talk about the practical importance. The definition or the statement of the problem should have a certain rationale. Right. So why am I the agenda? Remember, we looked at the agenda of the research is so important. What is it that you want to do? At the end of the day, your objective is also very important. Okay, I'm doing this because of this. All right, so that is some of the notable guiding principles. All right. So this is the bit that I wanted to share with you. This is on schematic analysis of a problem. So you break down the problem, all right? So you have a list, all right? So you have a problematic situation, and then you have your facts, All right, you have your constituents, you have your explanation, and then you got to marry them. See if there is any relationship with the facts and explanations. All right, that will also give room in order for you to come up with your variables. So probable relevant constituents, you can have your facts empirically verifiable. That means it's backed up by stats. All right, you have empirical evidence there. Sometimes probable can be, when you write your thesis, your statement of problem, it can be guessed at, suspected, predicted, but they are unverified. This is where you will come in. All right, but there are issues. There are still nagging issues to this particular study that I'm looking, or area that I'm looking at. And then you have your explanation. All right, so what is the relationship? You have to create, or you have to make connection, to the explanation so that they are verifiable. All right, so so you have to draw relationships between unverified, verifiable, and what you intend to do. So that would actually help with your statement of problem. So the major problem is subdivided into subordinate questions or problem. All right, so however, when you look at the definition of problem, it is really boils down to planning. All right, planning a thorough or a very structured investigation. All right, before you actually embark on your full study. So 20% of work or 25% of work you put here is very crucial, and you can't just simply write. Normally when we write, okay, question later for you. All right, so this is how in which you can go about developing your statement of problem. So this, I call it a grid. All right, a problem statement grid. All right, so here we may have threefold sub-problem. All right, so you can come up with your overall statement of problem here. All right, that means that is just a very, it just gives, it's just a thesis statement. All right, the thesis statement to the underlying, or to the underlying problems. All right, and these problems can be displayed in this manner. You have your sub-problem 1, you have your sub-problem 2, followed by sub-problem 3. All right, and then this is how it should look like. This is a sample statement of problem. Okay, I'll read it out for you though. All right, the central problem to be researched by the proposed study is the shortage in the nursing field example. Yeah, this has a lot to do with current nursing shortage and the need for more nurses in the field. There is a huge problem with this shortage and the availability of nurses. As a basis for this study, the researcher identified the problems to be threefold. All right, so your problem can be 1 or 2. All right, first, the issue is the education of the new nurses is the responsibility accepted by higher institutions of higher education, but there is national shortage of nursing faculty, and the problem is shortage of nursing faculty is limiting the enrollment, education, and the graduation of new nurses from institutions of higher learning. Okay, so we have issues with education, we have issues with faculty here. Second, the issue in the United States is that 75% of nursing faculty will attain retirement age in 2017. Alongside the existing problem in which 6.9% of nursing faculty positions remain unfulfilled due to a lack of qualified nursing educators. All right, so you can see the connection, right? One, faculty issue, enrollment issue, and there's also another issue here, retirement age and positions, unfulfilled because there is a lack of qualified nursing educators. Going back, you can tie this with the faculty, right? All right, next, the issue is the current faculty express low job satisfaction. Then you have your citation. Due to the complexities of nursing educators' role, making retention and recruitment of qualified faculty difficult. So internally, there's also a problem. The current problems include a shortage of qualified nursing faculty to educate new nurses, because we do not have much seniors, right? The complexity of nursing education. Current faculty complains of poor job satisfaction. Actually, a majority of nursing faculty members are actually complaining about it. All right, so this is one way in which you can go about doing this. All right, this is very helpful so that it's very clear. So you can also show this to your supervisor later on. All right, how in which you have structured your statement of problem. Okay, now let's look at this issue. This is a different issue, and let's look at the way in which it is structured. Let's see if there is a problem or not. Yeah. So overall problem, the central problem to be researched in the proposed study is the lack of intercultural competence within peer mentoring between international students and domestic students relationship. But there is a lack of personal account of students' experiences in a peer mentoring program. So we are looking at local international students. There is a lack of intercultural competence, all right, with students, all right, and this is found in a peer mentoring program. As a basis for the study, the researcher identified the problem to be twofold. So we have subproblem 1, we have subproblem 2. So let's look at subproblem 1. The first prevailing issue identified by the researcher is a lack of research on intercultural competence and peer mentoring skills of domestic students, local students. Universities admit international students to drive globalization, but fail to bridge the gap between domestic and international students to help create intercultural competency. Past researchers conducted different studies within formal classroom settings and extracurricular settings. The researcher for the present study will reference Canova's research to determine ways to sustain effective intercultural interaction by investigating how attitude, skills, and knowledge of both domestic and international student peer mentors affect external and internal outcomes related to attitude, skills, and so you've got your constructs there already, all right? Last, the next prevailing issue identified by the researchers is the lack of personal accounts from students about their experiences with a peer mentoring program as the second issue. See, very clearly written, isn't it? There's clarity. International students will share the experiences to increase understanding of the impact of peer mentoring from a domestic student mentor on their intercultural competence and vice versa. So it's more of a sharing going on. All right, so this they can come up with data. Giving students a voice to share these experiences might contribute greatly to the effectiveness of such a peer mentoring program. So there is a flaw in the program right now because it doesn't advocate for such voices. So once these personal accounts are shown, it might shed light on the experiences of both international and domestic students on how they can relate to one another. All right, and you have your citation. Okay. Okay. Now,
Yeah,
I would like you to read this, and perhaps one or two of you, maybe some of you, can tell me what's the problem here. So some quiet time to read.
okay. If anybody wants to read it, they can.
Yeah.
Anyone
Yeah,
from the, anyone of the participants? Any volunteers?
don't have to be so shy. It can be an interactive session.
Anyone? You just have to read it out.
Yeah, may I read it? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
E-learning offers numerous benefits to the learners, educators,
institutes, and other stakeholders, such as providing wide area coverage and enabling learning at home. Many higher education institutes are implementing e-learning parallel to the traditional classroom teaching methods. This is because many students are unable to attend universities due to limitations such as far distance, transportation issues, and time constraints. E-learning helps them to obtain the same quality of education without physically being present at the university. Nevertheless, the effectiveness of e-learning as a core teaching method is still questionable due to the low acceptance rate of students. In bracket Wu and Chen, 2017. Bracket closed. Hence, e-learning is less efficient in delivering education to students. The reduced usage to e-learning is due to various challenges and issues such as students lacking awareness and still preferring the traditional method of learning. Students are influenced by the opinion of people such as parents, neighbors, colleagues, and others who have strong attachment with which impacts their attitude and attention. Allahar B and Sandhu have 2018 have identified that the reduced intention to use e-learning is by a lack of perceived usefulness of instrumental values. The e-learning system is unable to provide useful insights in students that in turn lowers the e-learning acceptance of students. Chang 2019 stated that the e-learning system provided by open universities is usually not useful for students to manage and control their learning process. Thus, intention to use e-learning decreases due to the lack of perceived usefulness, inadequacies in the e-learning system, and the students' inability to manage the learning contents at their convenient time and pace.
All right. Thank you very much for reading this out. All right. So what is a possible problem in this statement of problem? Can you see the problem? Anyone would
Yes,
like to
ma'am.
try? Yeah, what's the problem?
Yes, ma'am. The problem is actually the awareness among the students and parents and everybody else on using the e-learning as a the first choice of delivering the education. I think we have seen that Wu and Chen in 2017 have said actually researched and reached to the conclusion that this method is questionable due to the low acceptance rate of students. They are not
Correct.
accustomed to the e-learning mode of learning.
Correct. Yeah, thank you very much for your response. Okay, we can see that, the way it is written, I also want to highlight a few pointers here. Whenever we write a statement of problem, it can be done in a formal, like a thesis statement, all right? You looked at different styles, right? And it can be in an informal manner where it is explanatory, like this one, right? It's giving you like a narration, but the problem is there, citations are there. And the primary function of such writing is to help readers see why your problem is important, all right? So it helps what? Also helps create awareness, all right? Oh yeah, okay, I'm taken aback. Oh, such a thing exists, all right? So it kind of like plays in your mind. And when you talk about strong problem statement, all right, you also have to consider terminology, all right, used. If you look at here, we have technical in your respective fields. I'm not sure of the kinds of work that you do, all right, but we have to be mindful of terminology, all right, and shared beliefs and mindsets like here, all right. Some largely prefer traditional learning over e-learning, all right. So, and why? Because perceived usefulness, that is also a terminology in this area. Perceived usefulness, and then intention, yeah, the intention of using e-learning. So these are all technical terms that needs to be defined. And another issue would be canonical works, all right, that canonical meaning theories, all right, and facts or text used by experts in the field, like Einstein, right? He came up with the theory of relativity in physics. So it depends in your respective area. Canonical works, terminology, and concepts, all right, has got to be appropriately tailored in your statement of problem. Okay, I guess I have something for you here. Maybe you can, before that, any questions?
We have a separate Q&A session, as I already said it before. So we'll be taking
This is
questions in that
inclusive
session.
of
Okay.
9.
Okay.
This is before 9:30, right? Your Q&A.
Yeah, it'll be after the second session.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Can we have this maybe in your own respective research area? Maybe you could curate a solid thesis statement. All right. I believe all of you have an area that you're working on. Just a thesis statement, yeah. Probably in a few lines, a line or two. Or a thesis statement can be a line that states the problem of your research, all right, that it plans to address, and also describe why the problem is socially relevant and scientifically relevant. You can be specific, and this is optional. If you have time, you can actually include at least 2 in-text citations to reflect your supporting ideas. Can we get this rolling from your end?
Yes, sure.
All right, thank you. Maybe once it's done, I can stop presenting. You can actually show me what you have typed. Okay, you can also use the chat box in which you can copy or drop your answers there.
I think the best option will be here that all the participants who will actually be interested in doing this activity will actually email that to you, because the chat box is not enabled here in our Google Meet right now.
Oh, I see. Okay. So shall I drop my email address later?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Okay. I think that would be it for me on how do you go about developing the statement of problem. Yeah, I think we have covered most of it on this particular aspect. I'm just curious to know how many pages is it that you write here? You know, what's the practice like in your university? Is it like a page, 2 pages, or it can be more?
We firstly, if you talk about the problem statement, we actually, when we actually try and get the admission in the PhD in any university in India, we have to write a synopsis which has a particular format for every university of
I
India.
see.
Yeah. So we have to define the problem, then the rationale behind the problem, then the explanations and reasons and everything, then objectives and everything. Yeah. So it includes many different portions.
Right. So so it would be about how many pages?
It varies from universities to universities, but it's around 30-40 pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. I hope the sharing is helpful, because here on our end, normally is about 1.5 page or pages, maximum 2 pages.
All right.
So if you write like 7 pages, they would not read. Yeah, your examiners would not read. They will just slash. So that's why it's on our end. That's why the practices are rather different. On our end, it would be 1.5 or 2 maximum. That's the practice here. So yours is pretty lengthy, yeah. So there's a lot.
It's pretty extensive here. Yes.
So there's a lot of aspects going on. Yeah.
Yes. Certainly, ma'am.
All right. I guess that would be it for me. Thank you very much for lending your ears, and happy writing. I hope you found this session to be useful.
Certainly, ma'am. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jan, for this quite fantastic and information-rich lecture. Personally, I think the statement of a problem in itself is a research problem. That should actually be researched thoroughly first before we actually start the research, the actual research.
Exactly.
And you have put the pieces of the puzzle into the right places quite beautifully through your presentation, and I want to congratulate you and thank you for this fantastic lecture, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Pleasure.